Hello, everyone, and welcome to our extended disc 15-minute webinar. Today's topic is how to set motivating goals. First off, my name is Christina Bowser, and I'm the training director here at Extended Disc. And joining me today is my wonderful colleague, Wilma Stevens. Hi, Wilma.
Hello, Christina. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you.
So, of course, first webinar of 2021. So happy
Yay!
2021, everybody. I saw a funny meme today about, last year, obviously, lots of challenges, right? 2020. And this year is 2021, but phonetically it's 2021, W-O-N. So I just thought that was funny. But anyways, we'll just move on from that. So today's webinar is being recorded. And most of you actually will listen to the recording. It will be on our YouTube channel as well as our extendeddisc.org website. We don't take questions live. If we don't have time, please put them in the Q&A section, and I promise you we'll follow up with you after the session is over. I just want to mention that today's webinar, you hear the word goals. I just really want to focus that Wilma and I are going to be really focused in on not so much achieving those goals, but rather how can we use our natural preferred ways of doing things, what motivates us, what kind of drains our energy, what are our strengths, where are our challenges of our natural style, which is what DISC helps us to identify to set us up for success when we're creating these goals. What do you have to say, Wilma, about this?
Well, I think what we're talking about here is setting the playing field for success. We kind of want to simplify to amplify. And when we're talking about goals in the framework of DISC, we are not at this point talking about SMART goals. We're all behind SMART goals. Everybody, we love SMART goals. But for today, we're talking about how do you use your behavioral strengths? How do you use your motivators to apply that to setting goals that in the end game you actually achieve? And I think one of the things that Christine and I, before we started this broadcast, we were talking about, quite often we get tied up in language, right? We start to talk to ourselves about, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to do this. And we really start to get bogged down. We want to actually put this in the framework of a goal that you want to do, a goal that's something that lights you up, right? In setting the stage for success, if you looked at your DISC report, you can actually look at things that motivate you on the motivators page. These are things, if you surrounded yourself with that and aligned your goals with things that motivated you, you'll probably find it easier to achieve. Now, by no means are we saying don't stretch yourself. We would never say that. We would say absolutely stretch yourself. But
yeah,
while you're doing that,
with us, what we've always said when we're using DISC is in itself a supportive tool, right? It does not predict your success. In fact, as just to kind of add on to what Wilma was saying, you set whatever goals you want to set. What DISC can help you do is to understand these goals will feel a little bit more challenging for me. I might have to push myself outside of my comfort zone a little bit more, but now I can better prepare for it. Whereas there are some goals that we can set that already give us a head start. We're already feeling motivated because these goals are based and are more comfortable for our natural style. So
have you set a goal this year? Have you set a goal this year, Christina, like that based on your own style and that you feel is something that you could talk about on how that will align for some success?
Well, I think one of the things that was, obviously this year is very different from previous years. And yes, I probably would have had some goals set. One of the things that I'm learning, one of the goals that I am setting for myself is to give myself more grace and forgiveness. That a goal is not a deadline. A goal is something that we progressively can reshape and and move towards, and to give myself kind of these short kind of wins, these victories, and not necessarily if I've reached my end goal, but the fact that I'm moving towards that goal. So that's something that doesn't come naturally to me. I tend to be pretty hard on myself. So that in itself is a goal, I would say.
I think that's awesome. And I think based on what you just said, is that we want to separate our goals from our to-do list, right? And when I said at the beginning, simplify to amplify, I think January 1 comes and we're like, really, our news feeds and social media will all talk about the brand new start and let's get going on our goals. And, I'm going to work out and I'm not going to eat carbs and I'm going to do all of these other things in my resolutions. And 2 weeks out, I'm having a big pasta dinner. I haven't been on the bike or gone for a walk, right? I don't want that either. But if we looked at one goal I did set is I would like to try some new cooking things. My son gave me a gift of this cooking school type of deal, and I love cooking, but following all of their techniques, and actually it's a really engaging way for me to learn, and I love to learn, and I want to get through all of this before my subscription is up. And that's not to eat a feast the last month of the subscription, but to keep at it. And that's attainable for me. But here's the thing, when you're setting a goal, it's important to write it down and to break it into smaller pieces, right? Or it's too much. So I have this subscription for 12 months. I've put in my day timer, quarterly stops to say, hey, where are you at with this? So I think it's good when you set your goal to break it down into some tiny bite-sized pieces, right? So that you can kind of measure where you're at. This goal for me will be fun. My behavioral style loves some fun. So that lines up with my DISC report. Where I have to stretch myself is, I'm writing it down, I'm putting some time stops to it, and I'm making an effort to follow the directions. Like I made pasta last week, and for the farce, you actually had to use this sieve. I'm like, oh, who needs that? Everybody can eat the outside of this part. And my daughter's like, no, Mom, do the whole thing. And I did. There you go.
So let's go ahead and look at the next infographic that I put up. It's just to remind us, remember, you are more than your DISC style. What DISC does is it helps us understand and predict how we prefer to do things. But you are so much more complex than that. But it kind of gives you a grounding point, right? It supports your decisions that you might make. So for someone like myself who's an S style, goals that are more motivating to me are ones that maybe where I can minimize my risk. That I include, it's not just my individual self, but I include my team, I include my family. It's something that clearly lays out, where it's much more challenging for Wilma to have everything defined. That's very comforting and motivating for me. And obviously, for me, goal setting where I have a lot of support, where I can share my ideas, I can get feedback and viewpoints from others. So knowing this about myself basically gives me the opportunity to say, okay, there are certain goals that are within my comfort zone, maybe, achievable, to kind of give myself that kind of, energy to keep going forward. But I also know that I want to push myself outside my comfort zone. So I need to think about goals that I might have to practice more or be more consciously aware of, like Wilma said, keeping herself organized, keeping herself on task. That part's easy for me, but motivating myself to get started or try something that's brand new and uncomfortable, so these are things that understanding our style really can help us to get going on these goals. So
our D friends,
I'm sorry, Wilma?
I was going to say, for our D friends, they have a little bit of an opposite time of that, right? Like they want to have that challenging, risky goal and have a result, right? I need to have something that says, hey, I did this. Very independent, right? Like I'm going to make that pasta myself or not. Um,
Mhm.
quickly achievable. You know, I like to do everything fast. I want dinner on the table fast. And that pasta making session, you know, it wasn't. It was in my eye style, and that was good too. We have both of us, Christine and I are both have a C style in our life. And for them, when they make goals, lots of details, right? That makes them comfortable. My husband's doing a building project. He's got a book this thick now on all the details. It's awesome. Not abstract, very logical, methodical, and based on expertise. It
Right,
seems
and
like,
that's very motivating for the C style, but sometimes for the C style, you know, especially I would say C styles and F styles, which kind of like the present here and now. There's a lot of uncertainty and lack of structure going on in our world right now, and you know, to really understand that, and while you're setting your goals that are motivating for you, also understand that you need to build in your plan B, and by building in that plan B, sometimes that gives you the impetus to stay motivated and on track.
absolutely. Tips to help you set better goals. So really, we're talking about laying the framework and vis-a-vis that DISC assessment. Really, we want you to be flexible, right? There's not one right way to achieve your goal. There's not one right way to set your goal up. We do know, though, that if you work in areas that light you up, motivate, capitalize on your strengths, it's probably going to be a more enjoyable trip for you to get to that goal. And I think that you know, being proactive with your goals is important, right? So if it sucks the energy out of you, you're probably not going to get back at it unless you build a system to honor that and get back at it. And as you mentioned in your thing, consider the short-term rewards, right? Like have something that you know you can tick off that you feel good about. How about you, Christina?
Well, just think what a beneficial tool or one more tool in your leadership toolbox. As a manager, we're often tasked with helping our team members set goals. We have to, you know, give them something to achieve that kind of supports the overall team goals. And this gives you additional information about each of your employees that
Good
you
point.
can help them set better goals by knowing their DISC style. So that, you know, really that DISC report that you have, you know, I always say it is a dynamic report, meaning that you can open it up and make it relevant to where you are right now. So you might not have a section that specifically says setting goals, but you can look at your report and look at your motivators. You can look at your demotivators. You can look at, as Wilma says, what lights you up and what turns you off. And using that information, you can prioritize, this one really sticks to me. This one is relevant to me right now. And then you can build better goals off that, and you can help your employees build better goals off that as well.
I love this concept of you talking about helping setting goals for your team, because remember, the other part of this is how you communicate that goal to the person, right? So think about the communication piece. It's ascribed to the receiver. So when you're talking to your direct report about the goal, think about how will they best receive it, and that also could aid in the success of them achieving the goal because they'll hear you.
Exactly. So hopefully that gave you just kind of some tips and just little motivation to get going on it. We are here to help, so feel free to reach out to us. We do have another webinar coming up. It's part of our 4 Steps to Effective Interaction series, and we'll be focusing on the very first step, which is what is DISC and how to present that to your participants. And that will be coming up next Wednesday, January 13th. And it's a 1-hour webinar in the morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we do have recertification units if you are a SHRM or HRCI certified, I forget the word, professional. That's the word I was looking for. So thank you guys all for joining us today, and stay safe, stay healthy, and again, Happy New Year.
And I'd like to wish you all good luck and good energy on achieving your goals and celebrating your successes, small wins, big wins, but we want you to enjoy as you go along and celebrate those achievements. We know you got this. Happy 2021.
Bye, everyone.